because, y'all, there was a little bit of girl drama on social media this weekend. Well, actually, a better description is that there were two immature, mean girls attacking two strong, badass women who promptly squashed them both like bugs.
The LGBTQ movement now dominates pretty much every aspect of our culture. From celebrities to corporations to politicians to athletes to entertainment to the mainstream media. The LGBTQ movement largely controls the narrative, but there are a number of notable exceptions to this rule, even within the non-Christian world. Brittany Aldean is the wife of Jason Aldean, a popular country music star. Recently, Brittany shared an Instagram post that said, "I'd really like to thank my parents for not changing my gender when I went through my tomboy phase. I love this girly life." Now, why would Brittany say something like this? Are there really parents who would interpret their daughter's tomboy phase as a sign that their daughter is transgender? Of course. Here's a promotional video from a children's hospital that suggests just this.
We have parents who tell us that their kids, they knew from the minute they were born practically, and actions like refusing to get a haircut or standing to urinate, trying to stand to urinate, refusing to stand to urinate, trying on siblings' clothing, playing with the quote opposite gender toys, things like that.
And when parents introduce and push the idea of transgenderism to their children who don't know any better, the children will more than likely believe and go along with what their parents are suggesting to them, since their parents are the experts and authority in their lives. In response to Brittany's Instagram post, Cassidy Pope, a Grammy Award-nominated singer, songwriter, and musician, tweeted in response, "You'd think celebs with beauty brands would see the positives in including LGBTQ+ people in their messaging. But instead, here we are, hearing someone compare their tomboy phase to someone wanting to transition. Real nice." In response to Cassidy's tweet, Maren Morris, a Grammy Award-winning country singer and songwriter, tweeted, "It's so easy to, not be a scumbag human. Sell your clip-ins and zip it, Insurrection Barbie." In response to this backlash, Brittany didn't back down, but defended her position in an Instagram story.
But Brittany Aldean didn't back down, posting a lengthy response of her own online. She says, "Advocating for the genital mutilation of children under the disguise of love and calling it gender-affirming care is one of the worst evils," she says. "I will always support my children and do what I can to protect their innocence." She says, "Some parents want to be accepted by society so badly that they're willing to make life-altering decisions for their children who aren't old enough to fully comprehend the consequences of those actions. Love is protecting your child until they're mature enough as an adult to make their own life decisions. Thankful my parents allowed me to go through my tomboy phase without changing my gender. Until then, leave children alone."
Now, it's extremely common for celebrities to apologize when faced with this kind of backlash. For example, Macy Gray at first voiced opposition to the transgender movement.
And I will say this, and everybody's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
However, after facing much backlash, Macy completely reversed her position.
There was a wave of backlash that came as a result. Just tell me where you are right now on that statement.
Well, I never, of course, meant to hurt anybody with what I said. I'm actually a huge, I think it takes a lot of courage to be yourself, to go out in the world and be honest about who you are. And so I think anyone who is in the LGBT community is a hero and sets an example for all of us with that, you know? Like I said in there, you can call yourself you whoever you believe you are, and no one can dictate that for you or take that away from you, you know?
So it's refreshing to see someone like Brittany, who is pretty high profile in the culture, refuse to back down to LGBTQ pressure. And Brittany is absolutely right in what she said. Much of the time, a child doesn't just decide himself or herself to become transgender. The decision is a direct result of parents who are confusing and pressuring them to make that kind of life-altering decision. And, as Brittany said, this is one of the worst evils. In response to Brittany's response, Cassidy continues the feud, posting to Instagram, "POV, knowing you got under someone's skin you don't like in the first place." And like before, Maren once again joined the attack, commenting, "You know, I'm glad she didn't become a boy either, because we really don't need another a-hole dude in the world. Sucks when Karens try to hide their homophobia/transphobia behind their protectiveness of the children. 2 notes. First, believing that homosexuality and transgenderism are perversions of biblical sexuality does not equate to being homophobic or transphobic. In fact, telling people the truth about sin is the greatest love we can show to them. And second, people like Brittany aren't hiding behind their protectiveness of the children. They are actually trying to protect children from evil, life-altering decisions that parents are making for them. Candace Owens also joined the discussion, tweeting in response to Marin, "It's easier to not castrate your children, but I guess whatever helps sell bad records." To which Marin responded, "Oh my, not you. My Grammy is positively sobbing right now. Also, why do y'all always go to castration and pedophiles to try and shut an argument down? It's honestly concerning and worth looking into." Did Marin really say, "My Grammy is positively sobbing right now"? What does her Grammy have to do with any of this? And rightly so. Candace points out the absurdity of Marin's response, tweeting, "Also, my Grammy is positively sobbing right now. You sound like a 15-year-old girl on TikTok. You are in your 30s. Grow up." As Christians, we should be grateful that people such as Brittany are willing to stand up against the backlash and fight for the protection of children in a culture that has largely abandoned children for the sake of political correctness and the ideology of the LGBTQ movement. Jaelene Daniels is an American professional soccer player who currently plays for North Carolina Courage. In 2017, the U.S. soccer team announced that members of both its men and women's teams would wear rainbow-colored jerseys to celebrate LGBTQ month. Jaelene, a devout Christian, had a moral objection to doing this, so she withdrew from the team. In 2021, Jaelene re-signed with the team, but when the team re-signed her, it also wrote this bizarre apology letter to its fans. In response to the recent news of re-signing Jaelene Daniels, we as a club acknowledge the impact this announcement has on our community. We've spent the past few days reading your messages and reflecting on our actions. We are very sorry to all those we have hurt, especially those within the LGBTQIA+ community. The decision to re-sign Jaelene was not made lightly and included significant conversations between organization leadership and Jaelene. The priority expressed in those conversations is the safety of our players and maintaining an inclusive, respectful space for the entire team. If you like this video, subscribe to help spread the truth. In response to all of this, Jaelene wrote on Twitter, "I remain committed to my faith and my desire for people to know that my love for them isn't based on their belief system or sexuality. I pray and firmly believe that my teammates know how much I cherish them, respect them, and love them." In her response, Jaelene did not compromise concerning her Christian faith and rightfully expressed that she loves all people as people who are made in God's image. Then, in 2022, the North Carolina Courage soccer team again required its players to wear an LGBT pride-themed jersey. And again, because Jaelene refused to wear this jersey, she was sidelined from the game. A spokesperson for the soccer team said, "Jaelene will not be rostered tonight, as she has made the decision to not wear our pride jersey. While we are disappointed with her choice, we respect her right to make that decision for herself. We're excited to celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community with our fans, players, and staff tonight, and look forward to hosting our first ever Pride Festival before kickoff." Like with Brittany Aldean, I'm glad Jaelene did not compromise concerning her Christian faith and responded appropriately to the backlash and opposition that came because she refused to celebrate the LGBTQ agenda. Even Bill Maher, who can rightly be regarded as quite far on the left, has recently begun to start pushing back against the insanity and radical nature of the LGBTQ movement.
But someone needs to say it. Not everything's about you. And it's okay to ask questions about something that's very new and involves children. The answer can't always be that anyone from a marginalized community is automatically right, trump card, mic drop, end of discussion. Because we're literally experimenting on children.
And of course, the backlash was again swift and enormous.
Bill Maher is facing backlash online for a segment he did on the growing rate of self-identifying LGBTQ people in the country, including children who identify as trans.
However, despite the backlash, Maher continues to stand firm in what he has said, which is admirable. Even though we disagree with much of what Maher says, we appreciate that he is willing to point out evil and dishonesty when he does see it.
Answer this question.
What is
was
the
it
question?
appropriate? The question is, was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I mean,
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Like Bill Maher, J.K. Rowling is quite far on the left, being a huge supporter of the LGBTQ movement.
As well, because I've always had my own suspicions about this. Dumbledore being gay.
I thought you were going to ask something completely. Yeah, go on.
Dumbledore being gay.
Yeah.
However, like Maher, Rowling has drawn a line concerning the insanity of the transgender movement.
The woman who is likely the world's best-known children's author is defending herself against growing accusations of transphobia. This is J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter, of course, who sparked outrage last weekend with a series of controversial tweets about trans women.
And, like with Maher, there has been enormous backlash against Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, author of the famous Harry Potter series, is surrounded by yet another controversy regarding transgender. The British author is facing a severe backlash after she posted a series of tweets over the weekend.
And again, like Maher, Rowling has refused to apologize or compromise her position. So although we also disagree with much of what Rowling believes and fights for, we do appreciate her willingness to fight back against the insanity in at least this one area of the culture. Brittany, Aldean, Jaelene Daniels, Bill Maher, and J.K. Rowling are all very prominent, visible figures in the culture we are standing up to cancel culture and the woke mob. As Christians, will we also stand firm and fight for truth in this culture that largely hates the Christian message?
Simply stated, there is no such thing as transgender. You're either XX or XY. That's it. God made man male and female. That is determined genetically. That is physiology. That is science. That is reality. This notion that you are something other than your biology is a cultural construct intended as an assault on God.
Because in this war against manhood and womanhood in marriage, there's also the war against the patriarchy, the war against male headship, which again is an assault on the God of the Bible.